You're not single because something is wrong with you. You might be single because something is right with you, something the dating world quietly punishes. That sounds like a comforting lie you'd tell a friend. It isn't. There's real research behind it, and it's stranger and funnier than any pep talk. Let me explain. We have a story we tell about single people, that they're single because they're not attractive enough, or not trying hard enough, or too broken, or too fussy. The story is always about a flaw, something missing. But look closely at who actually stays single longest, and a very different picture appears. Often it's not the people who have less going on, it's the people who have more. Let's start with intelligence, because the research here is genuinely surprising. There's a long-running study of highly gifted people, following them across their lives. And one pattern that shows up again and again is that higher intelligence often comes with later relationships, more time single, and in some cases, less interest in partnering at all. A researcher named Satoshi Kanazawa has argued something even bolder. Looking at large data sets, he found that, for men especially, higher intelligence was linked to valuing sexual and romantic exclusivity in complicated ways, and that very intelligent people often prioritized other goals over pairing up. Whatever you make of his interpretations, the raw pattern keeps appearing. Smart, capable, self-sufficient people spend more of their lives alone. Why would that be? If you're clever, shouldn't you be better at everything, including love? Here's the first uncomfortable truth. The very things that make you good at thinking can make you bad at dating. Because a sharp mind does something specific. It analyzes, it questions, it sees 3 moves ahead. It notices the flaw in the plan, the crack in the story, the thing that could go wrong. That's a superpower at work. It's a curse at a candlelit dinner. The psychologist Barry Schwartz described 2 kinds of people: maximizers, who examine every option, weigh everything, and try to make the perfect choice, and satisficers, who find something good enough and happily commit. Maximizers, his research found, often make objectively better decisions and feel worse about them. They're haunted by the options they didn't pick. Now think about what a smart, analytical person becomes in modern dating. A maximizer, endlessly. On a first date, part of your mind is running a background audit. Is this person right? Is there someone better one swipe away? What's the flaw I haven't spotted yet? You're not on a date, you're conducting an investigation. And nobody falls in love under interrogation. Picture it. The other person says something ordinary, and while they're still talking, your mind has already opened 4 tabs. Did that comment mean something? Is this a pattern or a one-off? What did their pause imply? You're 3 conversations ahead, running simulations, grading the evidence, when the whole point of the moment was simply to be in it. Connection lives in the present tense. Analysis drags you out of it every time. And spontaneity, the thing that makes early romance feel alive, is the first casualty of a careful mind. The playful, slightly reckless energy that lets 2 people tumble toward each other doesn't survive constant evaluation. You can't calculate your way into chemistry. The more precisely you try to engineer the moment, the more it dies in your hands. And it gets worse because you also have a dangerous new tool: the dating app. For most of human history, your pool of possible partners was tiny. A village, a workplace, a handful of friends. You didn't optimize. You couldn't. You just picked from the few good people in front of you, and you made it work. Now you hold a device that offers you thousands, an endless, scrolling buffet of faces. You might think more choice means a better match, but the research says the opposite. Schwartz called it the paradox of choice. Past a certain point, more options don't make us happier. They make us paralyzed and less satisfied with whatever we finally pick. Psychologists have shown this with something as simple as jam. In one famous study by Sheena Iyengar and Mark Lepper, shoppers were offered samples. When there were only 6 jams, people tasted, chose, and bought. When there were 24, more people stopped to look, but far fewer actually bought anything. Too many options didn't free them. It froze them. Now replace jam with human beings. That's your dating app. And a smart brain, faced with infinite options, does the worst possible thing. It keeps looking for the best one. Forever. Every person becomes a jam you didn't taste. Every match, a maybe. Why commit to this good person when the algorithm promises a better one is loading? You are not too picky by accident. You've been handed a machine engineered to make you picky and a mind sharp enough to take the bait. And here's a twist that should sting a little. Even when you are picky, you may be picky about the wrong things. The psychologist Tashiro studied what people actually screen for when choosing partners versus what actually predicts a happy relationship. And the gap is embarrassing. We filter hard for the traits that are easy to measure and impressive on paper. Looks, status, wit, height, the things that photograph well and sound good to friends. But the traits that genuinely predict lasting happiness are quieter. Emotional stability, kindness, the boring, unglamorous ability to handle conflict without turning cruel. These don't sparkle in a profile. They don't win the first date. So the analytical dater, optimizing hard, optimizes for all the wrong variables and screens out the very people who would have made them happy. Think about that. Your mind is running a sophisticated filter at full power, and the filter is calibrated for the wrong target. You're not failing to choose well. You're choosing brilliantly for things that don't matter and rejecting quietly the things that do. But let's go deeper, past choice, into something older. Because your intelligence doesn't just make you analytical, it can make you self-sufficient. And self-sufficiency is quietly one of the biggest reasons capable people stay single. Think about what a relationship historically offered: help, survival, someone to share the load, the rent, the fear, the work of being alive. For most of human history, pairing up wasn't romantic. It was practical. You needed each other. Now think about a competent, intelligent, independent person today. They can earn their own money, cook their own food, fix their own problems, entertain themselves endlessly, build a life that runs perfectly well alone. There's research suggesting a striking pattern here. Some studies have found that women with higher education and income are more likely to spend time single, not because no one wants them, but because they can afford to wait and to refuse anything less than what they actually want. When you don't need a partner to survive, your standards stop being negotiable. That's not a flaw, that's leverage, but leverage has a cost. The more complete your life is on your own, the higher the bar a person has to clear to be worth disrupting it. And smart, self-sufficient people set that bar very, very high. You're not lonely because no one will have you. You're alone because your own company is genuinely good and most options can't compete with your peace. There's a version of that thought that feels lonely and a version that feels like freedom. We'll come back to which one is true, because there's another piece, and it's about the very thing that makes you smart: self-awareness. The more you understand yourself, the more you understand relationships, the more you can see the machinery. You've read about attachment styles. You know what a red flag is. You can name the pattern you're falling into while you're falling into it. That awareness protects you. It also isolates you, because to fall in love, at some point you have to stop analyzing and start trusting. You have to let go of the controls. And a mind that's very good at seeing danger is a mind that finds it very hard to let go. The psychologist and researcher Brené Brown spent years studying human connection. Her core finding is almost unbearable for an analytical person. Real connection requires vulnerability, the willingness to be seen, unguarded, with no certainty of how it ends. You cannot think your way to it. You cannot outsmart it. You can only risk it. And that's the trap for a clever mind. Vulnerability feels like a mistake, like sloppy reasoning. Every instinct you've trained says, gather more data, reduce the risk, protect yourself. But love doesn't reward the careful analyst. It rewards the person willing to look foolish, to text first, to care visibly, to be caught wanting something. Your intelligence tells you that's dangerous, and it's right. It is dangerous. That's the point. And there's a reason that danger feels so enormous, so physical, when you're wired to feel it deeply. Because rejection isn't just an idea to the brain, it's an injury. The neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger ran a now famous experiment. She put people in a brain scanner and had them play a simple online game where the other players suddenly started excluding them. Just a little social rejection from strangers in a game that didn't matter. And the parts of the brain that lit up were the same regions that process physical pain. Being left out doesn't feel like a mild disappointment. To your nervous system, it registers like a wound. For most of human history, that made perfect sense. To be rejected by the group meant losing your protection, your food, your survival. A brain that feared rejection was a brain that stayed alive. So evolution made social rejection hurt badly on purpose. Now put that ancient alarm inside a modern, sensitive, intelligent person. Every time you consider reaching out, confessing a feeling, asking someone to stay, some deep circuit screams that you're about to be exiled from the tribe. Your clever mind, which feels everything vividly and imagines every outcome, doesn't dampen that fear. It amplifies it. You can picture the rejection in cinematic detail before it has any chance to happen. So you don't send the message, you don't take the risk, and you tell yourself it's because they weren't right. Anyway, the alarm did its job. It kept you safe. It also kept you single. Now let's bring in the loneliest possibility and then turn it inside out. Maybe you're also single because you can see clearly what a mediocre relationship would cost you. You've watched people settle. You've seen the couples who are technically together and quietly miserable. You know that a bad relationship is lonelier than being alone. And you've done the math coldly, correctly, and decided that empty is better than wrong. That is a genuinely intelligent conclusion. Most unhappy relationships would have been better as no relationship. Your standards are not the problem. In a sense, they're a kind of wisdom. But here's where the smartest people trip, because there's a difference between having high standards and hiding behind them. It is very easy when you're clever to dress up fear as discernment, to call someone not intellectually stimulating enough when the truth is they got too close, to find the flaw that lets you leave before you can be left. Your intelligence gives you an endless supply of sophisticated reasons to stay exactly where it's safe, alone. And this is the part no study can decide for you. Only you can look honestly and ask, are my standards protecting my future or just protecting me from being hurt right now? Because both feel identical from the inside. Both sound smart. Both come with excellent arguments. The analytical mind is a genius defense lawyer, and it will always win the case for staying safe. So where does that leave you? Here's the reframe, and it's the whole point. Being smart doesn't doom you to be single, but it does mean the usual advice, just put yourself out there, will never be enough for you. Because your obstacle was never a lack of options or effort or worth. Your obstacle is the beautiful, overactive machinery between your ears. The same mind that overthinks the date can learn to notice itself overthinking and gently set the analysis down. The same self-sufficiency that raised your standards can decide consciously that connection is worth the disruption. The same awareness that spots every red flag can learn to also spot the moment it's using logic to run away. You don't have to become less intelligent to find love. That was never the deal. You have to become intelligent about your intelligence, to point that sharp mind at itself for once and catch it in the act of keeping you safe and alone. Because the truth underneath all of this is oddly hopeful. If you're single because you're analytical, self-sufficient, and self-aware, then you are single for reasons you can actually understand. and anything you can understand, you can work with. You were never broken. You were just running a brilliant mind on a problem it was never built to solve by thinking harder. So the next time someone asks why you're still single, you don't have to reach for the apology. You're not single because something is wrong with you. You might be single because something is right with you. You've just been using it against yourself, and now you know how to stop.